Teaching negotiation is probably the most fun thing you could possibly teach. What's the most powerful way to teach is to have people do simulations where they don't just have the concepts in theory, but they're doing negotiations, and it really opens up a wonderful discussion within a classroom of what you could do and what you could do better. There's three important things. You have to know what your interests are. Many times people come into negotiations thinking they understand their interests, but haven't explored it fully enough to really be able to milk it for what it's worth. The second is you have to know yourself very well. So you want to always be able to recognize what are your strengths and weaknesses to be able to manage around them. Also, it's important to know the other party, to think about their interests, think about their style, to be able to put what they say in the context of who they are as a person. One of the biggest problems is assumptions. People come into negotiation thinking they know something when they haven't really checked it out. Sometimes it takes a while to really listen carefully and make sure that what you think they want is in fact really what they're after. I do a lot of research looking at negotiation in China and the US, and their negotiations are quite different. In China, the relationship matters a whole lot more. If someone is someone you don't know, you'll probably treat them in a much more harsh way. If you're someone who you do know, you'll probably give them a lot more benefit of the doubt. And the difference is so vast within Chinese negotiation, you need to spend the time to become an insider. In the US, negotiation leads to a contract. And we believe that a contract will then govern what happens for the next year or years. In China, by contrast, negotiation is constant. When I teach negotiation, one thing that's great is to hear people years later come back and say what a difference it made in their career. My favorite story is one executive MBA student who had my class, and then he came back. I saw him 5 years later, and he said, "You know what? I'm retiring now. Based on what we learned in class, I had such a great deal buying a company a couple years after coming out of the program that I'm wealthy enough that I can retire at age 45. I love to hear stories like that.